Good afternoon. Welcome. We have a really exciting meeting today. Our invocation today will be given by Michael Williams. There he is.
Please bow our heads in gratitude. In thy fullness, my Lord, filled with thy grace, and for the union with thee, please bless this incredible group of people and all the blessings that we have every day, every week. We actually create world peace for 2 hours every week. Please shine your light on the earthquake victims, also what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, and also Armenia, where this club actually got to help 400 people get rid of their PTSD and everything. With total appreciation and gratitude. Amen. I wanted to do one more thing. Several of you asked me about 5 years ago we did this. This is from Ayurveda, this science of 5,000 years ago. They had this thing, I call it the four-way test of 5,000 years ago. It goes like this. Please repeat after me. Let us be together. Oh, except there's one line that I added. You'll get that one. Let us be together. Let us eat together. Let us be Rotarians together. Let us be radiating truth, radiating the light of life. Never shall we entertain negativity, and always think well of others. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Anybody want to do the four-way test? So do it, Bob. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? And better friendships be beneficial to all concerned. Good job. Thank you. Our song leader is Suzette Wheeler. There she is.
Thank you. Okay, so today's song is America the Beautiful. We're just going to do one refrain of it. Ready? All right. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountains' majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thanks, Suzette. Okay. Our Sergeant at Arms today is David Jones.
Pledge allegiance.
Sorry. Pledge allegiance to the flag. I'm always afraid I'm going to knock the flag over and then I forget to do the pledge. Bob Warner. We have 2 international guests today.
We have, again, Murray, but I'd let Murray introduce his comrade in Calgary Rotary Club.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here as always. I have a very good friend of our family and from our Rotary Club in Calgary, Stampede Park, Corrine Wilkinson, and I'll pass the mic to her.
Thank you very much. It's really exciting to be here. First time at this club. Just visiting for a week and enjoying the fellowship with all of you here. So, and I hope that you, can I put a plug in for 2025? I hope you come to Calgary in 2025 for the Rotary International Conference in June. We're working
Nice.
hard on it and it's a week away from Stampede. So plan on spending 2 weeks.
Sounds like it'll be fun.
Thank you.
Do we have visiting Rotarians today? I don't see anybody. Do we have guests of Rotarians today? Yes, Annie has a guest.
Hello, everyone, and my guest is, I'm sure you all know him. He, Gérard Ramelot. He worked with Channel 13 for like 21 years. He was a news anchor, and he also did our weather a little bit once in a while here at the Rotary Club for a few years. So I will give him the mic.
So many familiar faces here. Honored to be back here with you. I know that I recognize a lot of the folks here. I used to come to Rotary many years ago, and I would do a little news presentation, as Annie mentioned. But Annie's a dear friend of mine, and she invited me to come out. It's been a few years, so I was honored and happy to come out and participate. Thanks for having me.
It's nice to have you back.
Thank you so much. Feel the mic.
Do we have other guests? We do have other guests of Rotarians.
Stand up, Liz. So Liz is my official guest again. I think this is your third or fourth time here and you've applied for membership. Since no one knows her, it's impossible for her to be rejected.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I have the pleasure of introducing my buddy Todd Pratt. He is the owner of Solution Based Trucking. I've been telling him about our club for quite some time now. I know Todd through some other service projects. He's really involved in the community, and he really looks forward to seeing what we have here. Thank you.
Back in the back, David.
I have two guests today. One is a good longtime friend, John Edmond. He's with the Federal Economic Development Administration. And I have a new friend I just met, Maria Tucker, from the Jeremiah Project. And she's looking to join the club.
Nice. Thank you.
And we have a visitor at our table, Antonio Delgado, a recently arrived attorney practicing in immigration, very busy field, and I'd like to welcome him.
Yes, welcome. Thank you. Melanie, do you have guests of the club?
Yes, well, some of them have already been mentioned, so thank you everybody for mentioning those guests of the club. I also have Brian Morris, Tanya Wago, and coming back, Gina Gentleman, so that's very exciting.
Thank you. We're really happy to have Gina here today. Any other guests of Rotarians? I'll introduce him with the. No, Jerry Senes is not a guest. We're just happy he's here. Any other guests today? Okay, I'd like to introduce the head table. We have our speaker today, Richard Bosworth, who will be more fully introduced in a few minutes. His nephew, Keith Bosworth, is visiting with us today as well. Rosalie Hedrick, and we have past President Steve Linder and past President Tom Thomas. Thank you. Okay, we have announcements. David Jones, you have an announcement for the 25 Club.
On the screen right now. What good timing. Tonight is the night for our 25 Club educational / social. I just have to say, to backtrack from what I said last week, come tonight and learn from the best. There we go. Look at those applause. So we've got Tom Probe, who will give us good insight relative to our club, the organization, our constitution. In addition, we have none other than Bill Steeran, who is going to provide us with a history from the 1940s and the 1950s of our club. And he made his own slideshow presentation. So come see the photos from old time Las Vegas. And nice to see there. I have one other thing, 2025 Club, we also have 8 oral histories that we're in the process of doing for many of you members of the club. So we hope to have those wrapped up in the next couple of months. So for those of you that have participated and been asked, we have 8 now in process. So appreciate Debbie for putting that together. And then one just last thing. For those of you that know, the first Rotary Club project that we did in 1927 was for a little boy who had his feet sheared off. His son, Jim, is flying out from Roanoke, Virginia, retired military, coming out to spend 3 days with us, or at least for the celebration. His church is raising donations to get him out here. So he's going to be able to get out here and at least spend that one evening with us. And Tony's pointing at me, but all of that is, we're really excited to have him come out there. We didn't know whether or not he was going to be able to make it, but he's also coming out. Maybe one of these days I'll put a picture up there so that you can see him and greet him at the celebration, because he is just such a humble guy. His wife is staying home to care for their ailing mother, but he's going to be out here. So I just wanted to pass that along to the club. We're grateful that he's been there, or he's been able to come.
Great, good job. And insight is a good word to use. Is Stu Lipoff here? Stu Lipoff is stuck in Salt Lake, I think. Do we have Marie? Marie's not here either. Oh, you're going to do the reading week? Right. Kathy Mann.
Hi, reading week is coming right up, and we're planning. Oh, I think
We're in the middle of it.
right, and we are in the middle of it. As a matter of fact, I was reading at Bracken yesterday, and we've been at all of our schools reading, and so it's been a lot of fun. And we're doing well. It used to be Breakfast with Books, but they changed the name to something nuts, and so not many people have been showing up. I believe that's next Tuesday. And we're going to be planting a book in Marie Walsh's, planting a book, planting a tree in Marie Walsh's name at, at Beckley next Tuesday at about 8 in the morning. And that's part of the Breakfast with Books. So anyone who wants to come, it should be a lot of fun. Okay. And oh, the valedictorian luncheon's coming up next month in April, I think on the 20th. So it should be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a busy month. Is Barbara Castro, were you going to make an announcement? There she is, back and back.
Hi, everyone. So just to kind of tackle on what Kath just said, we've been doing reading week all week. I read 2 Hollingsworth today. And they give you the cutest little cards after you're done reading to them. So if you guys can get to one of our schools to read, please do. It's such an amazing feeling afterwards. I have 2 kids. I read to them often, but just going to a school and getting all these kids just to join in and read, it's really, really amazing. And you guys will definitely love it. So please try if you can. My announcement today, though, is Marie Walsh. As you guys know, she's going to be resigning. We love her very much. I fell in love with Marie. How could you not? I think it was 3 weeks ago. She was getting out of her car, and after being sick, she's getting older. She's just getting a little sick. She's going back to her family to live with. But she came out of her car and she looked at me with her sweet little eyes, and she said, "Barbara, I'm proud of you." And it was an amazing feeling to me because I'm new to this club. So getting something like that, just a recognition from a woman so amazing, it really just touched my heart. So Tuesday after breakfast and books at 8 at Beckley, we're going to be planting a tree in her honor. The tree is donated by me, but please come to just show her the love that she really, really deserves. She's done so much for the school committee, and I really think she'd like to see you guys all there. It's going to be at 8 a.m. Please be there if you can. If you need more information, email me. And but yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Jerry Senes is here today. He's going to talk about the highway cleanup over here. White shirt.
I'm moving.
Thank you. Well, it's here again, our quarterly time to clean up the highway. We always have a great time. It's wonderful in so many ways. But we love the people that come by on their bikes and wave at us and just say, hey, great job. I think think we've been sentenced to community service, but that's not true. But anyway, so then it's always breakfast brunch over at my house afterwards. I checked on the weather and it's supposed to be very nice. No wind, no rain. So hope to see as many of you there as I can. Thank you.
Okay, will you repeat the date
March 11th, 9
so
o'clock.
people can hear it?
Oh, I'm sorry, March 11th, 9 a.m., right across from Bonnie Springs, the old Bonnie Springs there. We all meet over there, maybe an hour and a half to clean up the highway, and then back to my house. So thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Jim Hunt.
Thank you, President Katie. Yeah, 2 weeks from tomorrow, we will be having what might be the last party at the Tom and Jane Crow residence. And for those of you that have been in the club a long time, we've had countless parties there that have just been amazing. It's a beautiful view of the 15th hole at TPC if you haven't been there. And we're going to have green beer. We're going to have the family of Rotaries bringing out some dishes. I want to thank Karen Wisenhunt for helping with that and for donating some prizes for our raffle. Janice Lenke's going to be giving us some prizes as well. John Pally has given us a beautiful donation for our raffle. And Sean Norda has donated a beautiful bottle of wine from Italy. And Eris from Mastriani Fashions is going to donate, I believe, a gift certificate for $250. So this is going to be a party. I think we've got upwards of about 50 signed up. And Annie's going to give us some donations for the raffle. So we should have quite a raffle this time. I think, like I say, I think we've got around 50 so far. It should be a big party. Bring your friends. Mine are $10 donation to the foundation. We raised a lot of money doing it and having a good time. See you on March 17th.
Thanks, Jim. Is Renee Gamero here? Yes, good.
Hello and thank you. A little over 3 weeks, we're going to have Ryla. And so far we have one application. I'm not worried about that because we have 14 more slots to fill. And I know that all of you are going to share that with your loved ones, with people that are in 10th and 11th grade who don't have this type of opportunity. Luckily, over the next few days, we have several online meetings with different high schools of people who are interested. In fact, we got a couple of good leads from the music competition last week. Any students there that would be interested. So Ryla, transformative experience, youth leadership, March 23rd, 24th, and 25th, Friday to Sunday. Besides the 10th and 11th graders to take part of it, we're also looking for volunteers. So please reach out to me or Mike Williams or Bill Houghton for more information. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Tony Kern, where are you?
As
There
I
she
make my
is.
way to Tony, I just have to
I
say,
planned this so they're on opposite sides of the room.
I knew that. And I'm just going to say, for the 25 club party tonight, we've got Italian salad, we've got pizza, we've got meatballs, we've got, somebody's bringing wine.
I'll bring wine.
Yeah, I'm more bringing wine. So Bill Steeren said he's not going to perform or give his thing unless he's got plenty of adult beverages. So Bill, you're on.
Good to know.
Hi, everybody. Couple of items. District Assembly is coming up. It is going to take place on Saturday, April 22nd in beautiful Apple Valley at the popular Sitting Bull High School. Last year, we had it at a different school, but it was also in Apple Valley. We had great fun. Some people spent the night before, others drove in that day, but it's an opportunity for you to participate with other club members from different clubs, learn different things. The board of directors are required to come by our bylaws. So we will always have our great core of board members and be there. The sign-up should be coming out within the next month. And it's just for the day.
Okay. Is Carrie right there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Good.
Hi. So it just so happens that our centennial year district conference is in our great city, Las Vegas. We really need to have everybody show up if they're in town. The district conference this year is going to be at the Horseshoe, and it is May 5th and 6th. So please join up, get a room, and enjoy everybody coming to our city for our district conference. And there's a QR code to sign up.
Thanks, Carrie. And where Janice Lenke is going to talk about the centennial.
Pushed it back this way.
Oh, okay.
So, Centennial Celebration, April 1st at the historic Fifth Street School. We've got lots of people who have been purchasing tickets already, lots of people purchasing the coffee table book, which is amazing. We have all kinds of fun things going on. Nate Tannenbaum is going to be our master of ceremonies. We have entertainment. We have social circus. The young students are going to be performing in the garden area. We also have Chadwick Johnson, who is a well-known entertainer here in town, and he will be there with the VP Retro Vibes, so we can get down and boogie. There will be, now we know that Jim Eaton is going to be there, and there's a lot more fun. I've also been made aware that there are options for some people who have not been able to buy tickets or are not able to buy tickets. If that is a situation you fall in, go see Austin Wyrick. Green Book, I'm being told. Green Book is circulating. Please be sure you sign up and make sure you identify your food meal. Keep it going, Sean says. Keep it going. Keep it going. Don't look at every page.
Is David Squire here today? Did David make it, Jerry? Okay. Then we don't have a Paul Harris. Okay, great. We do have a birthday table today. David, you want to take the mic over there?
Good afternoon, Rotarians. My name is Karen Wisenhunt. I've been in Rotary 29 years, 21 of which have been in this club, and I'm proud to be a past president. My year was 2009, 2010, and I'm humbled to sit here with my birthday fellows over here.
Hey, I'm also a past president, and March is exactly halfway in between my last birthday and my next birthday. So I thought I'd hang out with the birthday table just to stay in the groove.
Thank you for your contribution to the club, Richard.
I'm Michael Williams. I've only been in the club, 10, 11 years. A newbie compared to Karen. Just a blast coming here every week.
I'm Chris Rodenfels. This is my 35th year as a Rotarian, around 9 years in this club, I do believe. And I was past president of my other club twice, like Katie and a number of others have. And this will be my 64th birthday. One more year and I get that.
Cool. I'm Rose Palaco. I've been a Rotarian for 22 years. My first club was Westlake Village, California. And then this one, and I'm going to be the same age as Chris. And my birthday's today, 64.
Happy birthday.
Hello, everybody. My name's Jim Tucker. Hey, I joined the club in 2002 when I was 46 years old. So you can tell how old I am now. So it's been a pleasure with so many friends. It's a club full of friends.
And he's
92.
also a past president.
And I'm also a past president, 31 years. Thank you.
Photo.
Is
More birthdays, more birthdays.
who didn't have room to sit at the table, Richard.
Matt Nelson back here in the back at the cast-off birthday table. We got ourselves some high-class problems if there's not enough room at the birthday table, so I like this problem. I think it's 17 or 18 years. It's all blurry, but grateful to be a member of the club and have you guys kind of show me the way. So thanks for letting me hang and not ask me to leave. We got more.
We're coming. We're coming.
Walk and
Also on the
talk.
cast-off birthday table, Brian Sorrentino. I think I'm 5 years in to Rotary, and it's been wonderful. Hello. 55 years old this year.
Thank you. Eric Kruger, I've been here for 9 or 10 months, I think. And I'm 44 on the 25th.
And Sidra, are you ready?
All right, everybody join in and wish these wonderful people a very, very happy birthday. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarians. Happy birthday to you and many more. There we go.
Oh, one more birthday.
The big 4-0, my best friend Brian. Happy birthday, baby.
Any more birthdays today? They're all over the place.
Okay, I'd like to take a minute and thank the people that helped make this meeting possible. Kathy Mann and Bob Warner set up today as they do every day. Our greeters, Antoinette Monroe and Debbie Howard. Karen Wisenhunt sat in for Marie Walsh at the selling tickets this morning. Our scribe, Jason Federico. Photographer, past President Jim Tucker. Our AV team is Austin Wyrick. And cleaning up after the meeting is Larry Cohn and Michael Williams. So we appreciate all the work you guys do. I'd like to do the drawing. Our pot last week was up to $4,061. And when I to change my glasses to read the ticket number. The ticket number is 1594849. Somebody look at your tickets. There you go. New member Virginia, yay. You won the pot. You won the pot. The pot is $4,000 plus whatever went in today. Half of that Half of that goes to the foundation, to our endowment, and the other half is yours. So congratulations. Welcome to the club. Well, see? Congratulations. Picture. Okay. Now the ticket for $50 in Lowry Box is 1594535. 1594535. Okay. David Mullen, there you go. You? Oh, picture.
Where are you going?
Okay. And for the ticket to the gala that was generously donated by Tom Thomas, the ticket number is 1594526. Okay, Austin. Okay. We don't have the ticket. You'll get the ticket. You're on the list. So, congratulations. We have about 10 minutes for some fellowship before I ask Rosalie to come up and introduce our speaker today. We have a really interesting speaker today, and I'd like to have Rosalie do the introduction.
Hi, everyone. Our speaker, as Katie said, is going to be really exciting today. He's going to tell us about the history of hospitality. So our speaker is Richard Bosworth. Richard is from, where's my note? Hold on one moment, sorry. Richard is the president and CEO of JC Hospitality, LLC. He is also known as Boz. And as if you guys weren't able to attend our tour that we did last year at Virgin Hotels, Boz was honorable enough to give us that trip around the hotel and teach us a little bit more about their history and how they got started here in Vegas and how the culture of their company works. So he'll probably give you a little bit of insight on that today as well. Today, he's going to talk about his 40 years in the experience of running hotels, casinos, restaurants, operational management, and the hospitality industry. And he also brought a guest, his nephew, which is Keith Bosworth, who works for Virgin as business development and sales, correct? So please help me welcome Boz to our podium.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure to be here today. I'm going to go back a little bit more than 40 years today. I'm going to actually talk about 1,500 years of history of the hospitality industry, or even investing in hospitality. And just to kind of start, Bosworth Hospitality Partners is a firm that I started in 2015 here in Las Vegas. We are the co-general partner and founding part of JC Hospitality that acquired the Hard Rock in almost about 5 years ago with the plan of converting it to Virgin Hotel Las Vegas. I am partners with Richard Branson. Very fortunate enough to have him as a partner, and of course his brand is on the above the door of the property. But it's interesting, he does play a fairly active role. I want everyone to know that. I do get messages from Richard on about a weekly basis now, and whether it be just a suggestion or idea about entertainment. So it's been a lot of fun for the last 5 years as well. But I thought I'd go back a little deeper, and Bosworth Hospitality Partners, Keith and I were putting this presentation together. I gave, I think, maybe our new tagline, it's invested in the second oldest profession in the world. So I'm not going to talk about the first oldest profession, but somehow or other, I like to think that innkeeping was the second oldest profession. And I'll tell you why. And I'm going to try to move very quickly through some of these slides. 1,500 years ago is really when I can track back to the industry really started, probably as older than that. But today I'm going to talk about the past, present, and the future of the hospitality industry, particularly investing in hospitality. First, there's an emerging dynamic right now between hotel branding, independent hotels, and then the Airbnb factor, which cannot be denied. With the online travel agencies, independent hotels can find themselves being very, very competitive with branded hotels. In fact, at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas, I'm actually affiliated. We're on the Hilton reservation system. We're on the Virgin network. We have Mohegan as a gaming partner, so we're on their network as well. So entrepreneurially, to be able to come into this great town, the hospitality capital of the world, how does someone like me compete with the great companies and MGMs, Caesars, Eldorado, Wynn, Resorts World? And that is to build our own database from the ground up with those worldwide travel groups that needed more exposure to Las Vegas. Really what we're going to do is we're going to cover from roadside signs, which is how the industry started, to central reservation systems, to online mobile apps, today's traveler, how they currently are shaping the industry. And I'm not going to be talking about an age. When I talk about a new generation of traveler, that's not an age. That's more of a utilization of technology and attitude of what you're looking for. As we approach this investment apex, as I'm calling it, that Keith and I work on daily right now, where do we direct hotel investments and how do we mitigate risk? And one of the things that I said to Keith when he came to work with the family 7 years ago, right out of college, is that the first thing we do is mitigate risk. That's the first thing we do. We worry about mitigating our risk of the investment before we worry about counting how much money we're going to make. And then how can we create value in forgotten assets? And I think this is probably one of the most exciting aspects. I think one of the things that we're going to be working on over the next few years, where there are hotels and properties that are no longer competitive because they've just been open too long, or they haven't been renovated, or depending upon where they are. And I think there is sort of some level of a nostalgic approach to our industry. So medieval period alehouses. Alehouses were ordinary dwellings where the householders served home brewed ale and beer. And again, you're going to see some references. This kind of takes us back to Airbnb, right? Because the industry started with you put a sign, you had an extra room, you needed a little extra money. I mean, dangerous. You didn't know who was coming by your house, but you had to sign up that rooms were available. Medieval lodges. Lodging was sometimes no more than a bedding on the floor, a kitchen, or a barn. And I always say this is what a luxury suite looked like during medieval times. Way different than some of the beautiful suites that we have here in Las Vegas. Well, then there was a development, right? So then all of a sudden inns became to accommodate travelers with more bedrooms. They were bigger than average houses. They had stabling. Today we call that valet parking. There was other tradesmen, that were, whether it be traders or it was just travelers, or for whether it been for religious purposes or not. But then the inns really became to be more of a prominent hospitality asset. Then in the mid 1800s, larger ale houses becoming common. Growing up in the Northeast, I grew up in New York metro area, but I lived in Boston for many years as well. And you still see these 18th century larger ale houses that are they're still there. And whether you stay in them as a hospitality product hotel or they've just been converted to restaurants, these then became 18th century. So the industry kept getting larger. It started with homes. It became inns. It moved to roadsides. And then eventually they just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then when the railways came in, and transportation is such a big part of our industry, then railways came to be. Then you started to have the grand hotels. The grand hotels that you would see in communities, in municipalities, in cities. And, I think about towns like Pittsburgh or Cleveland, or, these, or in San Bernardino, where you see that there are a railway, and you see these beautiful, gorgeous hotels that's still there. There are many of them that were built in the late 1800s and the 1920s. I had the opportunity to renovate 419, 26, and 27 circa hotels in my career between Chicago and New York. I think Chicago was the most fun because of all the history there. I actually had to bring in a historian because we had pulled up the carpeting in a lobby of a hotel in Chicago, and it was all marble, beautiful, beautiful marble from 1927, and it was just hidden by carpet and a rug. And when I pulled it up, I noticed that there was this one spot that just couldn't be cleaned, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I brought in a historian who maybe knew more about those construction materials than I did, and he laughed at me when he came in. He goes, "You don't want to remove that stain, and that's not a stain that has anything to do with construction materials." He goes, "That was a gangland murder that was in this hotel." He goes, "It was Tommy guns the whole bit." He goes, "That's actually blood that seeped into the marble. That's probably why it was covered in with carpet." So he goes, "That's historic. You don't want to change it." On the top floor of that property, we were going into the coat room, which was close to one of our rooftop ballrooms. And when we were pulling down the wallpaper and the drywall, we found the door. And the door had this little staircase that dropped one floor into another drywall, which was a hotel room. Brought the historian up, and he says Capone used to be up there, and that's where he would be. And then he would get the call when the feds would come in. They would call up, and he would come out of the speakeasies that were on the top level of the hotel. He would drop down this little stairwell, and he'd be sitting in his room smoking a cigar, and say, he had nothing to do with anything that was going on upstairs. So all this little great history, these fantastic hotels that were built in the early 19th and 20th centuries. And if you study the economy, there's so many hotels that were built in the 1920s that there was a construction boom, and a very similar construction boom that we saw just prior to 2008. And you can see there are very similarities from an economic cycles of what was going on in our country as from a real estate perspective, hotel development perspective and also followed through. And then, of course, between the Great Depression and the Great Recession, what happened to these properties? But some of these grand old ladies of hotels still exist. Then the Highway Act of 1944 and 1956, which really kind of built the interstates as we know them and have evolved today. And particularly the 1956, and many of you probably know this story, so I apologize. So much of our interstate system was built for military mobilization. It was a military machine that built our interstate highways. So at that time, after World War II, there was always a threat of, could be an invasion, World War III. The Eisenhower administration needed to determine how to be able to move the U.S. military to different areas across. And you can even see it today on the 15 when you come out of LA to Vegas. You can see where there's still military installations off of the freeways. But the freeway system was initially expanded really for military mobilization, but then the hotel industry really took advantage of that. They started building what we call and know as motor inns. And I always get a chuckle when I see these. I'm assuming many of you, like I do, know that as a kid when you're traveling with your parents on the interstate, you would get a key like this, and then you would take it with you, and then you mail it back to the hotel. I can imagine the security risk, right? Today, thinking about that, even from an insurance and a legal liability standpoint, you could be in Teaneck, New Jersey on Route 80, right, and mail it back to a hotel in Des Moines, Iowa, and it's got the room number, it's got the key, it's just, and when you lost a key in a hotel, like these hard keys, it was quite an issue. You had to rekey the rooms, but you would take these keys with you, put in your pocket, you literally mailed it back to the property. And I always get a chuckle out of that because it just shows us how much not only we've changed as an industry, from a security perspective, how we've changed as a culture. That used to be okay. Then there was the emergence of hotel brands. Sheraton, Westin, and Hilton hotels were really the first, although Hilton itself is almost 100 years old. But those were family operated. And then hotel franchising, which is a big part of the industry, and frankly, the majority of the industry, began in 1956. Howard Johnson's out of Quincy, Mass., franchised a motor lodge in Savannah, Georgia, and that was the first. That was really the first of franchising that just basically is now pretty much dominated the branded part of the hotel industry. Every time I see that Howard Johnson, Quincy, Mass., I don't know if many here from the Northeast or from Massachusetts, but I always think of Friendly's ice cream, that in Pittsfield, Mass. And as a kid, I grew up eating Howard Johnson's and Friendly's. Yeah, the Fribble. Remember the Fribble? Yeah. Great burgers too. Always about food. Then, and I laugh at this picture too. Here we are on a plane with a flight attendant, stewardess, lighting the cigar and a pipe of guests that were flying in first class. I mean, and of course, many of us remember flying with smoking sections, with the curtain to pull, and those curtains would open up and everything would come out, all the smoke. But what's more importantly, I think about this is the Global Distribution Center and how that was formed. What most people don't realize is that the president of American Airlines was on a flight, and I try to find a picture that looked like two old CEOs or presidents, looks more like a Mad Men picture. And the American Airlines, the president and CEO of American Airlines was on a flight with the president and CEO of Sheraton. And they happened to sit together, and on the plane, they discussed how should we be marketing and selling each other better. And from that plane ride, developed the Global Distribution Center, what we call in the industry the GDS. But really what that is just a way that travel agencies connect hotels, rent a car, airline, cruises, so much more today as well. But that was the connectivity. That was really the first connectivity of the GDS. And it just, two guys on a plane, talking about how they could be better at what they're doing, shaped and changed the industry. And they can no longer smoke on their planes. then suburban sprawl. And I think this is really when I kind of started getting interested in the industry as well. I was living in North Jersey at the time in the 1970s and seeing just getting a job, looking for a job, right? And all of a sudden there's a Marriott pops up or a Sheraton pops up or Ramada Inn pops up. And then all of a sudden these hotels were just not in New York City, which was literally a mile away. These hotels were within the suburban sprawl. And so I got interested, at that point I was in high school, I got really interested in who stays at these hotels, right? It's just surrounded by houses. And then I realized that they were in these corporate office parks that were emerging as well, and it was starting to move out of the cities for so many different reasons. But the industry really had its growth with suburban sprawls. I worked for Marriott early in my career. When I went to work for them, I think they had 35 hotels. And I opened up a new number of hotels in the New York City region at that time. And I left less than 5 years later. 5 years later, there was 350 hotels. So Marriott itself had such extraordinary growth. And all the hotels seemed to look like this. They had one high rise and they had low rises as well. Big social events, they had weddings there, and it created quite a great level of weekend revenue. So what happened in the 1980s? In 1980s, the boutique industry started to become known. And I think in many ways, I've had some UNLV students, hospitality students that have worked our property, and I'll sit down with them and they'll talk about, how they believe Las Vegas is so different from a standpoint, which it is. The industry in Las Vegas is much different than elsewhere, but they talk about the vibe, the energy level that's created in some of our great resorts in town. I said, well, before you go there, that was not necessarily created in Las Vegas. Las Vegas took it to a whole different level and made it more spectacular than it ever could be. But it really started in the 1980s with Ian Schrager, who had also had owned Studio 54 in New York City, and Kimpton Hotels out of San Francisco. Kimpton's was more of a restaurant company, and they had all these fantastic restaurants. And I used to say they were restaurants with hotels attached to it, because the restaurants were so strong and so vibey and so energetic, they would fill their hotel rooms. So it really was kind of emerging. But that's not what really took, I think, the boutique hotel industry to the next level. Tom and I were just talking a little bit over lunch about capital and how capital is really what takes industries to that next level. Nomura Capital, which was based in San Francisco, and obviously Wall Street in New York City, happened to be in the two cities where the boutique hotel industry was born. And it was the insight of Ian Penner and Nomura in San Francisco that caught the eye. Kimpton caught his eye. And Wall Street obviously saw everything that was going on with Schrager Hotels. And eventually Starwood Capital developed W Hotels in the 90s, which were supposed to be, a more modern, contemporary version of what Kimpton and Schrager were doing. But these are the guys, these are the godfathers, so to speak, of the boutique hotel industry. But it was capturing the Mortgage Bankers Association, Wall Street, and Nomura Capital that really took this to a whole different level, which now has become a very, very interesting balancing act for major brands of the hotel industry. Brand proliferation. By the end of last year, Hilton Hotel had 1.1 million hotel rooms. Intercontinental, 912,000 hotel rooms. And Marriott, 1,500,000 hotel rooms. And Marriott had merged with Starwood Hotels in, I want to say 2016, I think it was. So they picked up all those, and at that point, they surpassed Hilton. But if you look at all these brands, those are all brands that are part of these. There's Radisson, there's some others, Hyatt, of course, but these are all hotel brands. And every year, there's another hotel brand that's hitting the market, and it's very, very difficult to keep up. So how do you compete? And entrepreneurially, how do you compete? There's hotels like a Loft and the Moxie, which are now both Marriott properties, but they were trying to compete with the Schragers and the Kimptons of the world and tried to have Marriott, or actually a loft actually came out originally by Starwood to get to really kind of compete with the same clientele, but yet put the power of their reservation system behind it. And then Airbnb, 1 million hotel rooms, one of the largest hotel companies in the world that are really in individuals' houses. A study of the National Bureau of Economic Research analyzed that from 10 US cities, Airbnb impacted the hotel industry by 1.3%. Now, that might not seem like a lot, but when you're dealing with millions of room nights, millions and millions of room nights, it does add up in a very, very competitive world when you are just trying to fight for market share. And, you know, in my world, when I'm, you know, when we're underwriting an investment of a property, we do look at Airbnb now and say, does it have a significant impact on that market? Now, a lot of jurisdictions are getting tough on Airbnb owners or hotel or homeowners because for the longest time they weren't paying any level of bed tax. So now they're starting to charge bed tax certain communities or certain buildings, as you would imagine. Even here in Las Vegas, you have to have a minimum 30-day stay, which is appropriate, I believe appropriate. So today's travel preferences, before we talk about today's investment opportunities, the now generation, again, this is not an age, this is an attitude and it's a travel habit. Instant information through technology, speed of service, peer review, help, Yelp. New generation travelers refuse to dine and stay anywhere with a rating of 3.5 stars. Also as an operator, this really keeps you honest. This makes, I mean, you have to ensure that you're providing the service, because when you look at those scores monthly and something happened and we all have those moments, it makes you take a real hard gulp if you're not maintaining those service averages. Social creatures, online, offline. Today's generation like to be more communal, oftentimes, and in private areas. I always say that it's interesting if you watch certain travelers today, they don't need the door held open. No one's afraid, you know, you don't have to. It's just everybody's comfortable opening up their own door. It's a different booking structure. There's no longer the sign from 1500 years ago that was in the middle of the road. It's now you have travel apps on your phones. That's how I book all my flights. You know, I don't even have my assistant book my flights. I can do it just so fast on my phone. I'm constantly, you know, I could travel. Much more grab and go, I think, from food and beverage perspective, while that dining experience, and again, Vegas is a little bit different than the rest of the country, but while the dining experience is very important, the grab and go is also interesting. You know, we finally about a year ago at Virgin, we obviously have, you know, VIP services and butler services, particularly in our marquee penthouses and suites, but our room service now is what we call knock and drop. And that really, we saw a number of resorts in the country go to that during COVID because I think it was paper, right? It was just for safety purposes, where you would knock on the door, you would leave it outside the door, the guests would pick it up, and that was more of a security and a safety issue. But guests are starting to become interested and actually like the knock and drop. So we actually, you know, we tried it about a year ago, and we've made it fun for the servers. We've got them dressed differently. They're walking around, you know, they're bringing brown paper bags, but our guests really are enjoying it. But if somebody still wants a traditional room service opportunity, we still offer it. Local experiences is really important to have local bourbons or local wines, local cigars, etc. So you are offering that local, because that's what Airbnb does, right? Airbnb is giving you that local feeling. So hotels now are resorting back to having to offer those local offerings. And obviously volunteer travel, social responsibility, sustainable products. And again, it's where I'm so lucky to have a partner like Richard Branson, who is engaged every day in social responsibility. So who wins the war? CRS, which stands for Central Reservation Systems and Global Distribution System, versus the online travel agencies, because you can go on and use the Expedias of the world. In fact, I use the Expedias of the world if I'm traveling. Sometimes it just gives me a great flash of different pricing of properties. So there's a war, right? It's going on right now. The major brands of hotels will tell you if they're pitching you because they want to brand a property that you're buying or developing, they'll tell you our reservation system will deliver. And the question we ask, well, can you deliver better than the online travel services? Should I be paying you these fees that you would pay to a Hilton or to a Marriott or to another large brand, a Hyatt, et cetera, Holiday Inn, et cetera? Or am I better off just marketing myself through the online travel agencies? And the reality is there's no one answer. It really depends on the individual box and the individual asset. But here's the issue. Major brands control significant marketing funds, and they have millions of card-carrying loyalists. Hilton, as example, has 115 million loyalists that would get points by staying at your property. And as you know, as you travel, whether it be airline points or hotel points, that's a very powerful amenity to have. And at the end of the day, that kind of gives you the edge. So what's the point of all this? The hotel is returning to its 1500-year roots, yet it's new, young, and exciting industry all over again. A select service, which could be the select service, probably would be a Courtyard by Marriott or a Hilton Garden Inn. These are very, very popular hotels with families. Very popular. They're good product. It's a clean product. They offer great food and beverage offerings for your family. It's a little less expensive, but from an investment standpoint, they run very high occupancies and they're not that expensive to operate as you would imagine with a 1,500 room resort or a 5,000 room resort and all those amenities. Brand proliferation is blurring lines between the independent and the branded. Travel habits are changing. And there is a return to nostalgia for forgotten assets. Forgotten assets for me could be roadside inns. I think one thing we learned out of COVID is that families are traveling by car or motorhome or SUV. They feel safer. They're contained in a car. They can control their travel. They don't have to go through TSA. And it's easier sometimes to do more regional travel and be in your car. It's our belief, and we're looking significantly every day now, should we be working on something that brings that nostalgia of being in those motor inns back to today's American family? Are they traveling, but offer a different level of food service and make sure that your keys are electronic, and if you leave, they just get canceled and you don't have to mail them back to us. So, but I think there's going to be great opportunities in forgotten assets. So here's this apex. The industry and Las Vegas as well. Las Vegas last year had a very, very good year, although it was a different dynamic. It was 50% gaming. The rest was a mix between entertainment, hotel, food and beverage, and retail. We hadn't seen a mix like that in Las Vegas since 1999, when everything was driven gaming. Typically, probably since 2008, 2009, 2010, it's been more of a 34% gaming community, and then the rest is generally hotel and food and beverage. Of course, entertainment is so big in this town. But we're seeing right now extraordinary increases in occupancy and in hotel rates. And I'm not just talking about Las Vegas, around the country. But you have, with interest rates so high, you have a very high cost of capital. And hotel owners are struggling coming out of COVID. Many of them are still catching up, whether they're still, managing their cash because they were hurt so badly during COVID, or they weren't able to renovate, modernize, and keep up with their properties. So what do? If they go out and refinance right now at these very high interest rates, it becomes very more difficult for them. So there's this inefficient cost of capital structure, but yet improving economics. And that's one of the things that we're looking at. Lingering COVID financial impact, we talked about. Substandard management certainly happens. All these new brands, sometimes it's an incorrect brand identification, and there's a need for rescue capital. So we are deploying capital in a number of different tranches of investments. So I just want to kind of show that. But before I get there, commercial mortgage-backed securities, which represent about 25% of real estate commercial loans. In 2023, you can see there are, almost $15 billion worth of loan maturities in hotels alone. And this only represents about 25% of hotel loans out in the country. So you've got this extraordinary level of the level of hotel billions and billions, tens of billions of dollars of hotel loans that are coming due this year and next year. And the underlying dynamics in the industry are improving, but it costs too much money to borrow. So what do we do? So we're developing investment packages that will come in and basically help sustain borrowers and hotel owners and developers to kind of get to that next level whenever interest rates come down. And I'm not smart enough to tell you when that is. Where are we looking and where do we think it's safe? State capitals. State capitals are always a great bet to invest in. There is going to be state government, state government, state government. That's never going away. Major university centers are always a safe place. Major medical centers, unfortunately, that business doesn't go down. Destination resort products, infill locations, high barriers to entry where it's hard to build, or emerging markets where just the building distribution center, tech labs, et cetera. Then you have some markets like Austin, Texas, which is the state capital. University of Texas is there. You have major medical centers. You actually have technology. You have a market like Austin, Texas. Again, we get very jaded in Las Vegas because we run the highest occupancies in the world, and our rates are getting higher and higher, but this is a big industry outside of Las Vegas. Austin, Texas, as an example, is a great location to invest in hotels because of all these, I would call them just anti-recessionary or recessionary-proof dynamics. But where to invest? So what we've identified right now is the best place to be is we are investing in what we call B-piece for mezzanine aspects of a loan. So we're just, and I'll talk about a live deal that we have. There's a deal in Anaheim. So I'm not going to name the hotel. It's a beautiful hotel. It opened during COVID, brand new hotel, and they have their loan that's coming due, and they can't pay it back. So the lender is a responsible lender, doesn't want to take the hotel back. They came to us. They said, look, they need some more capital. So what we're doing is we're going in and providing a level of bridge capital that's coterminous with the senior debt that gets them to another 2 years to allow them to go out and refinance responsibly through traditional bank debt, because the lender does not want to pursue a foreclosure. These are good people. It's a good hotel. They just need time. So those are the types of things that we're looking at. And then there's a project, for instance, in Brooklyn, New York. He's getting ready to get on a plane, I think tomorrow, the next day to head out to Brooklyn, that was 80% built with a high cost of construction going up 40%. In the middle of construction, the borrower didn't have the funds to complete it. So an opportunity there, and the bank does not want to foreclose. And the bank does not want to foreclose for a number of reasons. We're going to come in and supply the capital to finish off the construction. And so much of that work is done, and we could open that hotel within 6 months in a great market like Brooklyn, which is just on fire. So we're looking to invest in this apex in the industry where you have these improving economics, but yet inefficient capital. So we're trying to make the capital more efficient. And again, I went as fast as I can to speed through it. I want to be respectful of all your time. But thank you. But I'm happy to answer any questions, whether regarding to the hotel industry, the investment industry, capital markets, or even just Las Vegas and trends in Las Vegas. Thank you. Yes. Here we go.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. Thoroughly enjoyable and fellow Northeastern. I have a perception, and I think there are many who have the perception the Strip really has no concern or focus on the locals. It's expensive. Transportation, logistics are very tough. Janice mentions parking. What would you say to locals as far as the view from the industry toward wanting us to be part of it, or do we really not matter?
I think you do matter. And now that I'm a local now for almost 7 years as well, although I lived on the Strip for 6 of those 7 years, so I really couldn't escape it. I was working in the resort corridor and living in the resort corridor. But now that I don't, it's interesting that how much I found as a consumer outside of the resort court that I never really participated in. But no, I often get asked the question, why did we buy the Hard? It is considered by many to be off strip. I said, well, to me, I thought it was a perfect opportunity, it was a perfect location. We're a mile from the airport, a mile and a half from the airport. We're a mile down Paradise from the convention center, which is such a big driver. And we're a 6-minute and a $6 cab ride or Uber ride to City Center, Aria, Cosmo, Bellagio. Try to go from, Aria down to the Wynn on a Saturday night. It'll take you 20, 25 minutes. Come down to our property, take you 6 minutes. And you see so much of the development this way. No, I don't think you'll ever hear a resort executive or developer say that they don't want the locals. There's 2.3 million residents. I always say, and I always tell our team and our operating staff and our marketing people that the local community is the biggest microphone that there is. And that's who, it's such an important part of who we see every single day. To me, the hospitality industry in Las Vegas is very much like the entertainment industry in LA. It's covered in the press daily. People are knowledgeable. It has a very professional workforce. And it needs to be respected and understood. I just think the demands for tourism are so great on the Las Vegas Strip. It's not convenient for locals, but I don't think there's a strategy. I don't think there's an attitude. I just think it's just so compressed that makes it very, very difficult. And again, it's one of the reasons that we bought the Hard Rock, because we didn't want to be in the middle of that chaos. Yes.
When you act as a financing arm to help these hotels with the short term, you actually go in and take naming rights, or are you strictly acting as a financial provider?
So in the case, and I'll use the case of the property in Anaheim as an example. Good management, good developer, good people, beautiful little hotel, gorgeous. What we do there is we sandwich ourselves in the middle of the capital stack. So we're somewhere between the senior lender, the mortgage holder, and somewhere between all the general limited partners and the equity, because we're providing, it's a tough term, but we're providing some rescue capital, right, to help the property sustain. We do not take an active part in operations or management in a case like that. But what we do is we get a share of partnership interest for the level of our investment. So to the extent that something did go wrong and we had to step in, we can perfect our rights on those partnership shares and step in. But our goal is not, we are not investing to own in a situation like that. It's not a loan to own. That's rescue capital, but if it doesn't work and we have to come in, we have the skill set prepared to do so. Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Great presentation. Fascinating. You mentioned why your location over on Paradise there and your 6 minutes and so forth. You haven't mentioned Formula One and where it's going to fit in.
Yeah, we're about 100 feet from the start and finish. So sometimes better lucky than smart, right? We had no idea when we bought the property that that's where F1 would be going. But what an exciting opportunity for Las Vegas. And I really, one thing for me is being whether it be an operator, hotelier, or hotel investor, who's experienced in many, many other markets. There's no town like this town. The way that the city, supports it, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Bureau, what they do here, the way they market, the way they drive this community is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's why one of the reasons I love being here so much. Yeah, F1 is going to be great for our property. It's going to be great for Las Vegas. It's coming at a great time of year. That little gap in November, which follows after some citywides and before Thanksgiving and the rodeo and Cowboy Christmas. So it's going to be fabulous. And yeah, we have 39,000 stands outside our property, which represent almost 40% of the spectators. So again, better lucky than smart sometimes. Thank you all so very much. It was great to be here.
Buzz, I want to thank you so much. And I'd also like you to know that there was no exodus at 1:30. So everybody really enjoyed your presentation. Thank you. It's really interesting. Thank you. I have a token for you. We have our Soul Power Award, which represents a pair of shoes to a needy child in your name.
Thank you so much.
And Rosalie also has another presentation for you.
Okay, so on behalf of Rotary, we would love for you to have our centennial book for our centennial celebration that we're doing this year.
Tell you, I've been staring at it on the screen all lunch, and I was going to ask you, where do I get one of these books?
You
So,
just got it.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. We'll see you next week.